Well, it's Groundhog Day. Again. And that must mean that I am Professor Robert E.G. Black, and this is the Groundhog Day Project.
It's one of those infinite time loop situations you might have heard about.
It's a thing where the same day keeps happening.
Time.
I wake up every day right here, right in Punxsutawney, and it's always February 2nd.
The last revision is what counts, apparently.
Minute 42 of Groundhog Day gets us our sixth iteration of February 2nd. The minute begins with a brief bit just on the editing of Phil and Nancy making out on the couch, and then immediately cut to Phil sitting on the wall at the edge of the square. For terms of geography, and you want to know where we are on the side of the square where the diner is, but farther west. When Phil gets up and starts to walk across the street, if you look behind him, you will see the very top of the Pennsylvania Hotel across the square. So that is where we are. Behind him, we don't get a good look at it, but the gazebo is directly behind him in the square. And directly on the other side of the gazebo would be Gobbler's Knob, the staging area. We can't really see those things, and we can't quite tell what the extras are doing in the background. But I think the impression we're supposed to get, or what they were actually doing while filming, but it's never quite in focus, they are setting up for the ice sculpting. Because that is the spot where the ice sculpting stuff happens. And the bank is kind of directly across from where Phil's sitting, so the geography of this moment is correct. As Phil is sitting there and he has had time, I talked many minutes ago about how people who try to calculate how long he's been in the loop look at this moment and think it takes time to figure this stuff out. He could have sat down here once, looked at this truck, just happened to be sitting here, say yesterday, 2 days ago, just happened to be sitting here, saw this truck and was like, I wonder if I could steal that. And then the wind blows, and he notices because it's cold. And he's like, okay, so I wait for the wind to blow, because the wind blowing, it's a sign, man. It's the universe being like, go ahead. And then the dog barks, and that's another cue. He's seeing the time loop markers.
Wow.
He is the one.
Cue the truck. The truck parks. He saw it driving up and he was watching it, but now it parks right after the gust of wind and the dog. And we've seen that he's got a good memory. He recognized the radio show, the first repeat. The fourth repeat, he was already saying lines ahead of them. And without them, he'd moved on. He's quick on remembering this stuff. When did he find out Herman and Felix's name? I don't know. Maybe he talked to them. Maybe he went over right after Doris, and it was really awkward because he didn't have anything to talk to them about, but he just went over to get their names, kind of see what was going on. And so cue the truck. Exit Herman. Walk into the bank. Exit Felix and stand there with a not-so-bright look on your face. Love that he's being rude even when no one can hear him. All right, Doris, come on. Now, Doris is out here, so what time is it? It doesn't necessarily matter what time it is, but she probably got to work at 6. I'm guessing the diner opens at 6 on Groundhog Day. Be ahead of the crowd, let people get a little breakfast before they go across the street and watch the festivities. So she's been working probably for a few hours. I think this is later than Phil is usually at the diner. Maybe. He's already by himself, so he's already somehow gotten rid of Rita and Larry. So I'm guessing it's after that. Doris walks toward the truck, and Phil is doing a nice voiceover description. Hey, fix your bra, honey. And she does. That's better. And then he does their dialogue for them, because we can't really hear them. As she goes over to Felix. Felix! How you doing, Doris? Can I have a roll of quarters? Some people have pointed out, I don't think it's on the Goofs page, but I've seen people point it out on Reddit, that it's actually really unlikely for the bank guard to have a roll of quarters. But Felix lives here. He's from Punxsutawney. Even though Felix and Herman are in this armored truck, which is presumably going from this bank, probably into Chicago to some larger branch.
Obviously, I meant Pittsburgh, not Chicago. Chicago is near the filming location. Pittsburgh's near the in-film location.
To drop off all the stuff. Felix lives in Punxsutawney. He and his wife are at the banquet later. His wife is one of the 3 women in the car that Phil changes the tire. Doris may know that Felix often has a roll of quarters on him. Maybe when he stops at the bank, he also grabs a roll of quarters while he's in there. I don't know. You don't know. Don't nitpick something that you can't know. All we have to assume is that Doris knows he's got a roll of quarters. Or, if he didn't have the roll of quarters, he'd say, no, you gotta go in the bank for that. And then she'd go into the bank for that. That he happens to have a roll of quarters he can give her, and that it happens to fall on the ground, is what gives Phil the opportunity that he has grabbed upon yesterday, day before, whenever he first saw this moment. It didn't take 2 weeks, Wolf Nards. Those of you not paying that close attention to the show, Wolf Nards is my usual go-to of people to complain about who calculate how long Phil was in the loop, because they overestimate everything. One is this. It took him 2 weeks to figure this out. No, it didn't. He could figure this out in a day, maybe 2. We know he's got a good memory, and he's quick to remember things. But maybe 2, because maybe the reason he has to remember that car and his little count that's about to happen is because one of the times the car hit him or almost hit him. I'm guessing it didn't hit him, or he probably wouldn't wait on that side of the street. He'd probably sit on the other side so he doesn't have to deal with cars. Of course, he's crossing the street because it's funnier. 10, 9, gets up, he's crossing the street. 8, car, as he kind of pauses on a step. Car drives by. 6, 5, quarters, and the quarters fall. Doris and Felix have to try to pick him up. 3, 2, and Phil's going to grab the bag and leave. Is it illegal? Is it a felony? Yes. Does it matter? That's an interesting question. Why do I complain last minute about what Phil does to Nancy, but I don't complain about this? Because fuck the man, fuck the big banks. But Nancy she's nice. She works at the dress shop and she's lonely. Whereas the bank, they're insured. FDIC and all that. Banks are going to be fine. So I don't mind so much Phil stealing a bunch of money. I have a bigger problem with Phil hurting people, individuals. Phil stealing some cash. Is that going to look bad for Felix or Herman? Maybe. But there's also, I assume, no video camera or anything out here that will show what happened. So it's just like their word versus the bank's. Do they get fired over it? I mean, they might if there's enough time. But today, no, because it's going to repeat. So does he cause Felix stress? Yeah. But I think in later loops, Phil doesn't steal this money. Just like when he pays $1,000 for that first piano lesson. I don't think he pays $1,000 the other times. I think he figures out what is the amount that will cover it. Or he figures out Mary's schedule and shows up when she's done with piano student Sue. So no, I got no problem with this. Or very little problem with this. He's causing Felix and presumably Herman. Plus there is a third guy that never leaves the van. He's sitting in the front seat. So those 3 guards, he's going to cause them some stress for sure. But what are they going to do? If the stress was really that bad, like cause Felix to have a heart attack over the stress of it and he collapses in the street, we'd see Phil saving him later. Or we'd know that Phil doesn't rob. The movie would let us know specifically that Phil isn't robbing the truck every day. And I don't think he needs to. It's part of the adolescent phase. Gaming the system right now for his own benefit. The egocentric, the wretch, can center it all in self, his happiness, his joy, his physical enjoyment of the day, his ability to go, whatever he's going to do with his money. We're going to cut from this to his date with Lorraine. So we can assume at least one of the days he steals this money that he steals and spends it on a car. Where he gets the car, I'm not sure. Does he go buy it from an individual who's selling it? Because I don't know if there's any car dealerships in Punxsutawney. I'm pretty sure there wouldn't be. I don't think there were any in Woodstock. And that was in 2014 that I was there. And it would have been an even smaller town at the time they were filming. So, Phil steals some money. It gives him room to do anything he wants. And that's important. It's the only way he's going to get out of the loop is he needs to be able to exhaust his options. Only after exhausting all his options will he do something good. Not because he needs to, not because he has to, it's just because that's what's left. You gotta keep trying new things. Eventually the new things are doing good. Doing good feels good in a different way than doing bad. And so Phil keeps doing good. He never becomes a perfect person. He's still sarcastic. He still insults people. But it doesn't seem as cruel or heartless or impulsive necessarily on that last iteration of the loop. But anyway, this is the 6th iteration of the loop, and Phil has just gotten himself a bag of cash. Next minute, we'll find out something he will have done with it. Until then, Go do something fun. Don't steal any money. I mean, unless you can get away with it. And don't steal it from an individual. Steal it from a bank. Actually, no, it's a bad idea to rob banks, too. But if someone happens to leave a bag of cash sitting around, I mean, that's on them, really. They're just asking for you to enjoy it. Take care.
Knew you were going to say that.
This has been a production of Lemming Drops Studio. You can find links to more at lemmingdrops.com or join the Facebook group Lemming Drops Studio Tour. Also, you can support all my shows at patreon.com/lemmingdrops.
What is wrong in the end which never comes? Or which comes again and again, lapping, like waves.
Since the Big Bang set everything in motion, everything that happens in this universe has to be the way it is. Particles unfolding the way they're destined to.
How do you sleep at night? You've never seen Groundhog Day?
Yeah, you know Groundhog Day is not a documentary.
Remember when Groundhog Day was just a movie?